The world's biggest consumer electronics show has opened this week, kicking off a brand new year in the world of digital technology. At the Consumer Electronics Show, more than 1,800 companies will be showcasing their latest products and solutions, from dazzling TV screens and driverless cars to pizza-making robots and healthcare devices. But due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the massive event this year is being held not in its usual Las Vegas venues, but online for the first time in its 54-year history. While we might be a bit disappointed that we won't be able to touch and experience the new jaw-dropping technologies for ourselves, there's still a lot to get excited about as the virtual experience unveils state-of-the-art gadgets and some of the biggest trends we can look forward to in tech in the year of 2021. To discuss all of this, there's no better person to turn to than Jeremy Kaplan, Vice President and Editor-in-Chief of Digital Trends. Thank you for joining us on the show. It's wonderful to see you. How are you today?
I'm doing great, thank you. It's always a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
Well, I can't believe it's been a year since we met at CES in Las Vegas, when obviously it was being held offline. And well, CES now, it's gone online this year. Is it really weird for you not to be at Las Vegas at this time of year?
Yeah, it's very different. CES has colored my life for a decade or two at this point. And it's a very different experience this year. A lot of us have sort of a love-hate relationship with CES. There's this mad scramble to get on a plane, to find your tickets, and then the running around in between convention halls, the walking miles and miles every single day across the different aisles. Some of it is challenging, but then it's also wonderful to experience firsthand so much innovation, which I am still seeing. There is still the same level of passion, the same number of creators building amazing things. So you're just experiencing it very differently, that's all.
Right, well, I definitely agree with you that, you don't have to go back and forth so much between the venues in Las Vegas, and there's no longer that massive queue at Starbucks, the only Starbucks at the venue. So some perks to the virtual experience. And well, of course, when you're at CES, among the arguably the biggest attractions are the dazzling TV displays that you see. And last year we saw rollable TVs, portrait mode screens, and 8K TVs from the likes of Samsung and LG Electronics. What new trends do you expect from this year's TV lineups?
Yeah, the rollable screens were fascinating. I love to see new concepts like that really transform the experience of watching and owning a television. What we're seeing there have been an acceleration, I would say, in new television technologies. And so one that we're looking forward to, I would have been looking forward to seeing in person, but learning more about, of course, is this micro LED technology that Samsung's recently come out with. We saw that 2 years ago. They unveiled this as something they called the Wall, a 219-inch TV, a massive screen. Obviously, not really something you would have in your own home because it literally is the size of a wall. But this year, they're showing off a smaller version of that you can actually own at home. They also have micro LED, they have mini LED. I think one thing we're going to see is confusion among consumers as there's this proliferation of different technologies, different things you need to know about. It almost makes it harder to shop for a new television. So I think that there's going to be some confusion among consumers because of the proliferation of technologies that exist.
I definitely think so. If I'm shopping for a TV set, I've never had to think about whether I want it to bend or not, or whether I want it to be rollable. But do you think consumers, though, do you think they're really going to go for these premium TV sets, very expensive TV sets like LG's bendable TV, and also expensive audio systems as well, to get a more immersive experience at home as we are spending more time at home due to the pandemic?
Absolutely. Without question, people are definitely buying some of these things. Now, keep in mind that there is this rarefied air of the very, very fanciest, newest technology, the super premium stuff that not everyone is going to buy. So 8K sets, for example, remain very much a premium thing. And look, if you buy one, there isn't that much content for you to watch, so that experience isn't necessarily that much better yet. That said, OLED TVs, which have always been fairly expensive, remain very popular sellers, and we see more and more manufacturers coming out with them. Consumers just love to upgrade their sets because there has been so much evolution in technology that it really does bring a better experience. You mentioned audio, which I think is a very important point. I think not enough people think about the experience of transformative audio, which has been evolving substantially over the years as well. A good friend of mine recently passed up on buying a new television set and went out and spent a few $100s on a new soundbar. And he said his kids think of him as a new god. Like, what have you done, Dad? The experience is so much better. So people should keep that in mind as well. New audio makes a big difference.
And a good way of getting respect from your children as well, particularly teenagers. And well, how has COVID-19 really changed or affected the consumer tech market over the past year? You said last year that smart health devices and connected home gadgets were likely to grow. Do you think that the pandemic has really accelerated this trend?
Oh, absolutely. Unquestionably. We've seen a lot of technology companies and the passionate creators that work at those companies shifting their attention towards COVID, saying, how can we put technology to work here? How can we help solve this problem or address the needs of the world at large here? So I think at the show, we're going to see an awful lot of devices, software, services, and things to make it easier to shop, to make it easier to check up on people's health. I think health tech in particular remains a very, very fascinating topic that continues to evolve. The ability to monitor things that we didn't have the ability to monitor before is an ongoing innovation, I would say. Take, for example, this ring that I'm wearing right here, which looks like an ordinary ring, but monitors my sleep. Every single day I have a new window into how well I slept and the various aspects of it, which was, am I in a deep REM sleep or am I in a shallow sleep? Did I wake? Did I toss and I turn? Think about how that data affects what we know about the human body and about sleep cycles. This is something we didn't know at all 2, 3, 4 years ago. And now we can have a steady stream of such data. I think that there's going to be a number of innovations we see in the next week surrounding blood pressure, which I think is the next big field to start monitoring. We have devices that monitor our heart rate, but blood pressure, you really need to strap a cuff on your wrist, which you really get done at the doctor's office. You can buy an off-the-shelf blood pressure cuff these days, but let's be honest, most people that buy those just don't use them very often. But if a device like this watch that I'm wearing could suddenly monitor my blood pressure in real time, that's really, really interesting. Something I think we're going to watch for. I think there's going to be a lot of that at this show.
And what I thought was really fascinating about what you said in our interview last year was that all these devices that in our homes, our wearables, they're all going to be talking with each other and in a way informing us and also really fitting around our lives to make this optimal environment that we live in. And do you see this kind of continuing, I suppose, or what do you think?
Yeah, we're going to continue to grow and continue to develop. I think that there's one of the challenges with CES is separating the hype from the reality. We've been talking for years about gadgets that talk to each other, and I don't think we've seen enough of that yet. I think that that is going to be something that is going to be a focus for a lot of devices over the year ahead. There's been some innovations from Google and from Amazon that really unify those devices, but they don't do enough to work with each other. I saw an innovation from Samsung that really caught my breath, actually. A way to make appliances talk to each other in your kitchen, which I have never seen before. The joke when you talk about smart kitchen appliances has always been, well, why would I need to turn my stove on remotely? I'm going to be in front of the stove. But if the fridge can talk to the stove, can talk to the microwave oven and help it make it easier for you to prepare a meal, that's an innovation that's really going to change your life. And I think we're going to see some of that developing further. It's a concept that hasn't been explored far enough, if you ask me.
And also, we've seen a growing number of mobility companies, automakers, participating in CES over the past several years. What do you think we can look forward to this year? I saw your article on it, so you could share it with us.
Mobility tech is wonderful. And again, here's where we talk about some of the hype versus the reality. I remember 5 years ago at CES, an executive from one of the largest car manufacturers in the US told me we're going to have self-driving cars in 5 years. And that was 5 years ago. He said we'd have them in 5 years. We don't. We do not have self-driving vehicles right now. So there is this hype and this promise, and there's this reality. I think we're going to see a lot of technology to enable self-driving vehicles. A big part of the Consumer Electronics Show is some of the smaller component manufacturers trying to drum up interest in their business. One of the biggest areas of innovation has been around LiDAR sensors. These are laser-based systems to detect distance, and they're essentially the eyes of self-driving cars. There are a dozen or more companies that have built the world's newest or the world's fastest or the world's best LiDAR sensors. I think you'll see things like that at the show that are going to facilitate self-driving vehicles. But you mentioned mobility, and I just want to point out, when it comes to autonomous vehicles, the advancements aren't necessarily in cars. We already have drones that can pilot themselves. We already have tractors that can pilot themselves. We have buses and shuttles that can pilot themselves, and we have airplanes that can pilot themselves. So a lot of self-driving tech already exists. It's just not replacing the car that you and I might drive to work every day. Yet.
Well, a lot to look forward to. And well, another thing, sorry to jump to another topic here, but well, Samsung is unveiling its flagship smartphone series this week, the Galaxy S21. Is this something you're looking forward to? And do you think it's going to really face tough competition from Apple, as the iPhone 12 now comes with 5G? And the new Galaxy is rumored to have the same processor chip, so might not carry many upgraded features.
The iPhone 12 was a huge market win for Apple. Bringing 5G to that platform, as well as a new design, a new look and feel, that is a great product. So it's going to be a challenge for Samsung to match it or beat it if they can. Samsung has always been a technology leader, and I anticipate a bunch of new technologies that we're going to see in that phone that can really shape that market. Sometimes I'm a little skeptical of the cameras that go into these phones, which are oftentimes prosumer level or even professional level cameras. And a lot of people don't actually necessarily need that. You and I don't take photographs like professionals do. But the ability to have that in your pocket has actually been pretty transformative. People take a lot more pictures than they used to, and they take far better quality pictures than they used to. And having an easy to use, really high quality camera is actually pretty inspiring. So I expect Samsung to push the edge of the envelope with that, with the Galaxy S21. The other thing Samsung's done really, really well is rethinking form factors. We were just talking about that with televisions that roll up and roll down. If I could afford that, I'd buy several of them right now. There are a lot of phones that have brought similar innovations to the market, right? Things that fold in half or roll up or roll down. That's something we've seen Samsung really pushing the edge of the envelope on and getting known as the company that's doing this really interesting tech. So I don't know if we'll see at CES something in the foldable space from Samsung, but I anticipate a lot of innovation from the company over the next year in that space alone. That is going to be the next big thing. What is the foldable phone? What's the one that really breaks through and becomes the thing that people are just a must-have gadget?
Oh, so a lot to look forward to in terms of the foldable phone. And well, before we go, if you had to pick 3 top buzzwords for tech in 2021, what would they be?
Oh, well, the big one is easy. It's artificial intelligence. The one thing that's been transforming every single thing in the space, in the technology space, is AI. And you see AI built into everything that we do. It's in phones, it's in those kitchen gadgets, it's in our cars. It is transforming everything. It's hard to walk down an aisle without bumping into something that is AI powered. I think that the true impact of AI on our lives hasn't even fully been embraced yet. I think there's just going to be a lot of innovation that comes from this. We were talking a little bit about health, and I do think health is a remarkable area to be explored. Devices that can track your sleep and monitor your sleep cycles are huge. Devices that can monitor our blood pressure, I was saying, I think that is something to really watch for, a space that could really be transformed. There's just an awful lot of that. And then I think health in general is going to be just a huge, huge topic.
Right, so especially with this pandemic going on, a lot of attention towards health and artificial intelligence and basically everything. Well, I'm afraid we're out of time, so this is where we'll have to end the discussion. But thank you so much. That was Jeremy Kaplan, Vice President and Editor-in-Chief of Digital Trends. Thank you so much for your time.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to our viewers, as always, thank you for watching.